Welcome for those of you who just joined. We are going to be talking about critical thinking in the classroom today, and it looks like Marlon Moat actually just joined in. Marlon, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Taylor. Yes, I'm Marlon Moat. I'm the District Director for Institutional Effectiveness Accreditation in Planning at TCC. The assessment facilitators, and she's doing a superb job. So glad to be here.
Thank you so much. Okay, so hopefully my internet will actually hold up for this. I just got a notification that I have poor quality, so we'll try to make it through this. So like I said, we're going to be talking about critical thinking in the classroom. And first off, we need to actually go over a few things. First, we're going to talk about what is critical thinking. I'm sure that at this point you understand what critical thinking is, but I wanted to make sure that we took a moment to really define it and understand it. Then I'm going to talk about some critical thinking practices, both formative and summative in assessment. And then how students can benefit from critical thinking. I'm sure that we are all aware of the benefits of critical thinking, but I wanted to look at it more from a real world and employer point of view. And then how do we know critical thinking is actually happening? That is kind of where we're getting hung up. How TCC is working to assess critical thinking, how you can get involved, and then some resources. So let's get started. What is critical thinking? The AAC&U, or the Association of American Colleges and University, defines critical thinking as a habit of mind characterized by the comprehensive exploration of issues, ideas, artifacts, and events before accepting or formulating an opinion or a conclusion. The Oxford Languages defines it as the objective analysis and evaluation of an issue in order to form a judgment. So what does that mean to us? Essentially, in layman's terms, we want our students to think beyond just definitions, delve deeper into concepts, and apply concepts across disciplines. So this is what we aim for as a college, is to make sure that our students are following our skill. So when I talk about definitions, we're talking about Bloom's taxonomy. I got this from the Vanderbilt University Center for Teaching. These are the different levels of Bloom's taxonomy. Remembering, understanding are the base levels. Applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating are going to be the more higher level thinking levels. So recalling facts and basic concepts and explaining ideas, that's that's scratching the tip of what we want our students to be able to do. We really want to get into this application, analysis, evaluation, and creation part of Bloom's taxonomy. So, oops, I can't click my thing. There we go. So how do we do this? We do this through summative and formative assessments. And I have an example of our formative assessments over here. Engaged learning, or what was formerly known here at our institution as active learning, is one of the best ways that we can get critical thinking going in classrooms. So I've got the 6 different levels that they discuss in active learning. Scaffolding, where our students are taking previous information from maybe a previous lecture or a reading that they did, and then making connections to new concepts based on the information that they already know. Questioning, there are many different levels of questioning, from just, can you regurgitate this information to me, to pulling it to a real world example and making them think critically about things like questions of ethics or social responsibilities and things like that. Group work, that is something that every single student I have ever encountered has rolled their eyes at. I've never had a student go, ooh, group work. So group work, however, is a very important component of critical thinking. It really forces our students to take into consideration other aspects of a problem, other cultures, other ways of thinking, that kind of thing. And it really forces them to think outside of their box. So that helps to encourage critical thinking. Classroom talk. I am sure that every single one of you has been met with the blank stare when it comes to classroom talk. You ask a question and you get no response. Everybody just stares at you. However, when done correctly in the form of a Socratic seminar, or perhaps a think, pair, share, or something like that, you can actually engage them in classroom talk in a way that makes them kind of take those concepts to a next level. Writing to learn, of course, is a wonderful way to do critical thinking. Some of us, whenever we're thinking about something that we want to say, we have a hard time articulating it right out of our mouth. Sometimes we need to write it down to really process those thoughts and put them into something tangible. So writing to learn is just another way for our students to get their thoughts on the paper. And then literacy groups, actually reading through information and then answering questions based on that information, getting together with their peers and discussing the different components of a piece or a passage or something like that. So these are all formative assessments. It's not necessarily something we take a grade on, but it's something that we can really get a feel for how our students are doing in the classroom and whether or not they are understanding concepts and taking it to those higher levels on the Bloom's taxonomy. So when it comes to our summative assessments, we're talking about our classic exams, projects, and essays. And these can be a little bit, exams, as far as I'm concerned, can be a little bit more on the difficult side for creating critical thinking. It's something that you really have to put into the exam intentionally and thoughtfully. Projects generally are geared more towards critical thinking. For example, the projects that I tend to do take all of the concepts that were learned in the class and put them together in one particular assignment. And that helps facilitate that critical thinking and making connections between different concepts, making connections between disciplines, and how they can actually apply these things to their real life. And then essays. So essays is kind of the classic example of trying to push further into that Bloom's taxonomy hierarchy. But you also have to be very intentional with how you put critical thinking into that. You don't want them just telling you, this is what this person said and I agree. You want them to be challenging what the experts say. You want them to be going to multiple sources to make sure that they are getting the most accurate information that they can get, and then taking that and making links between different concepts. So these are just some ways that we do this. This presentation is more about how does TCC handle this. So I went to Indeed.com and I searched for what are the top skills that employers are looking for in students coming out of college. And these were the top ones. I just wrote them down in the order that they ranked them. Critical thinking, problem solving, #1. And that is going to be true for probably every employer. Oral and written communication, #2. Teamwork and collaboration, #3. Digital technology, #4. Leadership, #5. #6, professionalism and work ethic. #7, career management. And #8, global and intercultural fluency. So TCC has our ISLOs, our institutional student learning outcomes, that we work to assess on a semester by semester basis to see if our students are meeting certain benchmarks regarding these particular skills. So if you'll notice, 5 of these happen to be ISLOs, or institutional student learning outcomes, that TCC already assesses. We have critical thinking, written and oral communication, teamwork, computer literacy, and personal and social responsibility. So it's clear that TCC is working very, very hard to make sure that we are putting world-ready students out of our college so that they're ready for the workforce. So how do we make sure it's occurring? Assessment. And I know most everybody rolls their eyes at assessment. I get groans every time I mention assessment to someone, but honestly, that is the only way that we can determine whether or not critical thinking is occurring in our classrooms, and determining where we need to go to make sure that we're getting the correct benchmark for critical thinking from our students. So the TCCD Office of Institutional Effectiveness, Accreditation, and Planning works to ensure that assessment is performed and that our students are improving over time. That's the whole goal of our college, is to make sure that our students are getting the quality education that will get them where they want to go in life. And in order to do that, we have to assess. So TCC and critical thinking, like I mentioned before, critical thinking is one of the TCC institutional student learning outcomes. And we tend to assess critical thinking through signature assignments. So a signature assignment is a either previously created assignment or a new assignment that has gone through an alignment with the TCC assessment rubrics that we've created. It's a 1 to 2 day workshop that you will meet with your colleagues. You'll get a lot of really good feedback from your colleagues. I've been through one of the workshops and actually hosted a workshop. And every single one of them says that they feel like they are better for having attended. So you can choose what assignment you want to implement. You can, if it's something that you have been giving for years and you just want to take that extra step, it's a really simple process to get that aligned with our rubric so that you can use it. So the next step is actually implementing the assignment into your course. The assumption with the signature assignments is that once you have gone through this particular vetting process, you will implement this assignment in your course for however long you are going to teach that course. So every semester, if you're teaching English 1301 and you have an assignment that has gone through this signature assignment workshop, you're expected to teach or to give that assignment every time you teach 1301. And then finally, we wouldn't have any information about how our students are doing if we didn't score the assessment. So this is going to be the next portion. So how can you get involved? Scoring sessions. I have kind of given you an idea of how much time these actually take. So this is a single day session in which previous assessment activities are scored. And this can be either through Blackboard or our signature assignments. It just kind of depends on what information we gathered. It's a single day. Once you've done it, you've done it, and you're done with that particular process. We always need people to score our assessment activities. It's actually kind of fun. I really enjoyed doing it. I've done a scoring session so far, and I really enjoyed doing it. Our Blackboard LTI assessments. This is an embedded Blackboard link that leads to an assessment activity through a program called Nimblywise. And this is a 5-minute process. I can, if you have questions on how to implement these things, I can absolutely help you with it. But essentially, it's you input the link and you're done. You don't have to grade it. You don't have to mess with it or anything like that once you're done. So this is kind of our level 1 involvement kind of step. And then finally, our signature assignments. So we want to make sure that our signature assignments actually meet 2 of our institutional student learning outcomes. And right now we're focusing on critical thinking and written or oral communication. So it's a 1 to 2 day workshop, just depends. The last workshops that we ran were 1 day. And then the implementation of the actual assignment. So that's just some brief information on how you can get involved with this. These are some resources that you are welcome to take a look at. The Association of American Colleges and Universities always has some great information on assessment. We actually developed our TCC assessment rubrics based off of the value rubrics from AAC&U. So very, very instrumental in making sure that assessment is effective on this campus. And then of course, the TCCD Office of Institutional Effectiveness, Accreditation, and Planning. Marlon Moat, I have his information here if you ever want to get into contact with them. And then, of course, my information. You are always welcome to contact me if you have any questions or anything like that. And that does it for my very brief presentation. You are welcome to unmute yourself and ask questions or put questions in the chat box if you would like. I will once again post that link for those who have just joined. And I thank you very much for your time. or if you have questions for Tamisha or Marlon, you're welcome to ask those as well.
Taylor, I want to thank you for this presentation. Really good overview of critical thinking and the things that we're doing here at TCC in ensuring student learning outcomes assessment is occurring across the district. Please note that there's plenty of opportunities to be involved with assessment and to utilize the workshops for signature work, so you can actually create signature assignments with embedded institutional student learning outcomes within them. So be looking for those opportunities. We also have other assessments that go on continuously, and if you're interested and at Trinity River, please contact Taylor and she can get you hooked up.
Absolutely. Thank you, Marlon.
I also wanted to mention, I was just looking at some of the individuals in the session, and I see some that are associated with some of the technical programs. And so I just wanted to mention that we do have an assessment facilitator, Jessica Cox, who's on your campus, but she works with all of the campuses, specifically with the career and technical education programs. So please note that you too can definitely be involved in the assessment processes that are taking place. And we wanted you to know that there's a specific facilitator that works with your programs.
Absolutely. And if you are unsure of how to contact Jessica, you are welcome to email me using the link or the email I provided, and I will get you into contact with Jessica so that you can speak with her directly. So are there any more questions or comments? I'm going to take the silence as no. Thank you guys again for joining me today and allowing me to talk to you about assessment. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Connections week.